touching religious hymns. Momodes Jallo, Grts News.
Well, we're going to take a very short break now. The news continues in just a moment.
What's your AfriCell number?
773.
What's your mobile number?
735.
What's your AfriCell number?
746.
What's your number?
My number is 215. 2?
You mean 72?
No, it's 2, and I am AfriCell 2.
AfriCell 2? Hey, hey!
Yes, 2 is AfriCell 2.
Hey, hey!
AfriCell introduces the new AfriCell series, the number 2.
Welcoming the number 2 to the AfriCell family.
From now on, the AfriCell lines will not only start with the number 7, but also with the number 2.
Get a new AfriCell SIM card now that starts with the number 2.
So now I can get an AfriCell number that starts with the number 2?
Yes. And when you receive a call from a number starting with the number 2, it's one of the new AfriCell lines calling you. My mobile number is 2, and
we are AfriCell 2!
Welcome back to GRTS News. The President of Ivory Coast has called for an urgent solution from the UN Security Council in removing the threat posed by the insurgency in northern Mali. President Alassane Ouattara was speaking during a meeting with visiting UN Special Envoy to the region. Romano Prodi is on a shuttle diplomatic journey in the region in a bid to find a peaceful solution to the crisis in Mali. We have details in this report.
During a recent trip between Senegal and Niger, Romano Prodi has stopped off in Abidjan, a visit regarding the sending of military forces to the north of Mali. Although the UN Special Envoy for the Sahel would like to allow time for negotiations, Côte d'Ivoire's president has requested in the name of ECOWAS that the Security Council find a solution as fast as possible.
Threats are huge, not only for the north of Mali, but also for the whole of West Africa. In light of this, we hope that with its influence and involvement, we can obtain a UN resolution by the end of this week.
Romano Prodi remains weary and hopes to calm President Ouattara. The UN envoy would like to first and foremost ensure the backing of the countries in the region. He's worried about the political vacuum in Bamako.
Naturally, Mali must take its own initiative. It has most of the responsibility, but there must be a form of solidarity amongst the countries.
The heads of army from ECOWAS states met up last weekend in Abidjan. They say they're ready to send 3,300 troops to Mali, but according to experts, military action won't be possible before September 2013. A speedy resolution from the Security Council could bring the date forward.
U.S. President Barack Obama has backed a bill to reinstate a ban on assault weapons which expired some 8 years ago. The move follows the Sandy Hook Elementary School massacre. Meantime, the powerful National Rifle Association, a gun lobby group, has released a statement saying it is heartbroken by the shootings. We have details in this report.
For many people in the United States, the right to bear arms is an essential freedom enshrined in the Constitution. But the debate may have shifted following the recent massacre in a Connecticut school that left 26 people dead, including 20 children. There are currently an estimated 270 million guns in circulation in the United States. On Tuesday, President Barack Obama backed a bid to reinstate an assault weapons ban that expired in 2004.
He is actively supportive of, for example, Senator Feinstein's stated intent to revive a piece of legislation that would reinstate the assault weapons ban.
20 children between 6 and 7 years old were killed in the massacre at Sandy Hook Elementary School, and the events have shocked the nation. The powerful gun lobbying group, the National Rifle Association, gave its first official statement on the tragedy. The group said it was heartbroken by the murders. But gun control advocates want public policy changes.
I want to just point out one thing, that a conversation that's respectful of the Second Amendment, Another thing that I'd like to repeat, a conversation that's respectful of the Second Amendment, but cognizant of the risks guns pose to our families and neighborhoods.
As some lawmakers call for tighter gun restrictions, one private equity firm decided to sell its investment in a gun maker. All this seems to suggest that the ongoing debate on gun control in the United States may have taken a definitive turn.
In the Middle East, Syrian government troops have surrounded one of the biggest Palestinian refugee camps near Damascus. Rebel fighters backed by Palestinian gunmen took control of the camp from government troops and their supporters from the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine. Palestinian leaders have condemned the bombing of the camp by Syrian government troops. Let's look at this report for more on that.
These images posted on the internet are the first to show fighters from the Syrian rebellion entering on Tuesday Yarmouk camp, which is situated south of Damascus and is home to thousands of Palestinian refugees. Backed by Palestinian fighters opposed to the regime, they've managed to take control of most of the camp at the expense of the pro-Syrian PFLP commander General Ahmed Jibril. However, according to the newspaper Al-Watan, which is close to the government, the army has encircled the camp and is ready to carry out an operation that would dislodge insurgents. 8 people have already died after a mosque was bombed and raids were carried out, leading to waves of panic amongst the population. Close to 150,000 Palestinians out of the 500,000 who've been living in Syria since 1948 have been forced to flee once again. A photographer from the French news agency AFP claims to have seen hundreds huddled in buses and cars on the Masna border with Lebanon. At least 2,000 have crossed over between Sunday and Monday, and the numbers keep rising. Those who have found refuge in Lebanon have now turned to the United Nations for help, as they feel they're the only organization that still cares about them.
We demand that the United Nations Refugee Agency take swift actions and set up a humanitarian aid plan for our families, including education and health care, and supplying homes or rent for fleeing families.
Meanwhile, Hamas and the Palestinian Authority have firmly condemned bombings against the camp. President Abbas has asked the UN to allow Syrian refugees to enter Palestinian territories.
Well, we now take a second break. We'll be right back. We now take a look at sports. This year's zonal championship has reached the last 4, with debutants Burfoot continuing their fairy tale journey with another major scalp in serial winners Sarek in the East. The Commonwealth side will now face Burkama in a repeat of the first round fixture, which ended 1-0 in favor of Burfoot. Mahmoud Esjala has details in this report.
Burfoot is well and truly on course to complete their journey to the promised land, following another impressive display in the ongoing zonal championship. The Commonwealth side is making its first appearance on the zonal Nawetan scene, but this largely talented side is showing why it has always called for the community's inclusion in this ultra-competitive and extremely popular local tournament. Their call for inclusion in the Super Nawetan received a blatant acceptance, and on the evidence of their showing, the team is making for lost time. East Park was full to capacity as home supporters and a significant number of Burfoot traveling fans ringed around the famous ground in anticipation of kickoff. Serekunda has made this famous ground a venue for vanquishing opponents and has in recent years enjoyed thrilling victories over some of the stellar names in zonal championship. The atmosphere was electric, with both sides aiming to book